The biting wind howled through the rusted metal walls of Jake Miller's garage, nestled on the edge of a sleepy town in rural Pennsylvania. Snow had begun to fall, blanketing the cracked asphalt in front of his shop in icy white. Jake, a wiry man in his late 50s with oil-streaked hands and a face weathered by hardship, was elbow-deep in the engine of an old pickup truck when he heard the jingle of the garage door. He looked up and saw her. A woman, wrapped in a thin coat, shivering violently, her breath forming desperate clouds in the cold air. Her cheeks were flushed with cold, and she held her arms tightly across her chest. Jake wiped his hands on a rag and walked over, concern furrowing his brow. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked. She nodded faintly. "My car broke down. It's out on Route 17. No signal. I walked for about a mile and saw your lights." Jake glanced outside. The wind was picking up, and the snow was falling heavier now. He could see her exhaustion, the kind that came from more than just walking through a storm. "Come on inside," he said. "You'll freeze out there." She hesitated, then followed him into the tiny office attached to the garage. A small heater sputtered in the corner. Jake handed her a mug of hot coffee and draped a blanket from his truck over her shoulders. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jake nodded. "You're welcome. Truck's got a heater that works better than this place. You can warm up there until the tow gets here." He walked her out to his old Ford, started it, and let the heat pour from the vents. She sank into the seat with a grateful sigh. "I'm Jake, by the way." She smiled, her eyes softening. "Claire." Jake didn't ask questions. He just let her be. He went back to work, glancing occasionally at the truck to make sure she was okay. After a while, she fell asleep, curled up in the front seat. An hour later, when the storm eased and a tow truck arrived, Claire had already left. Jake found the blanket neatly folded in the front seat and a small white card resting on the dashboard. He picked it up and read the elegant script. "Thank you for your kindness. Your warmth meant more than you know. Claire Easton." Below the name was a phone number. Jake slipped the card into his pocket and didn't think much more of it. People came and went. He was just glad she was safe. Days passed. Then weeks. Jake went on fixing cars, living modestly, counting every penny just to keep his shop afloat. The town was small, and work was scarce. He often thought about selling the garage, but it was all he had left after his wife passed away. Then, one cold morning, a black SUV pulled into the lot. Jake stepped out of the garage and blinked at the woman who stepped out. Claire. But this time, she wasn't shivering. She was dressed in a tailored coat, with calm confidence in her eyes. "Hi, Jake," she said warmly. "Claire." She nodded. "I've been thinking about that night ever since. You helped me when you had no reason to. No questions, no judgment, just kindness." Jake smiled, a bit confused. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," she said. "They wouldn't have. You didn't just give me warmth, Jake. You gave me hope." She paused, then took a deep breath. "I'm the CEO of Easton Motors. We specialize in revitalizing small auto repair shops across the country. I started the company after my father, a mechanic like you, died in a shop just like this. I've been searching for someone to partner with, someone who works not for profit, but for people." Jake stared at her, stunned. Claire smiled. "I want to make you an offer. Let us invest in your garage. Modernize it. Give you a team. Let you do what you love without worrying about bills. And in return, you help train young mechanics, people who need a second chance, just like you gave me." Jake's throat tightened. His fingers trembled slightly. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious," she said, her voice steady. Tears welled in Jake's eyes. He tried to speak, but couldn't. Instead, he nodded. That was the beginning. In a matter of months, Jake's old garage was transformed. The rusted sign was replaced with a new one, Miller and Easton Auto Works. The inside buzzed with life, young trainees, fresh tools, new energy. Jake became more than a mechanic, he became a mentor, a guide, a symbol of hope for people who'd lost their way. Word spread across the town. Then the county. People came not just for repairs, but to be part of something bigger. Claire visited often, and every time she did, she brought another story of someone who was touched by kindness. One summer afternoon, as Jake sat on a bench outside the shop watching his apprentices laugh and work, Claire sat beside him. "You changed my life, Jake," she said. He shook his head. "I didn't do anything special. Just let you warm up in my truck." "Exactly," she replied. "That's what made it special." Sometimes, the simplest acts, offering a warm place on a cold night, can change the entire course of someone's life. Jake never saw himself as a hero. But to Claire, and to the many lives that followed, he was exactly that. The garage became a landmark, not for its size or wealth, but for its heart. A place where second chances were given freely, where humanity came before profit. And it all began with a poor mechanic, a shivering woman, and the warmth of a truck on a stormy night. Because kindness, no matter how small, always leaves behind something greater. Sometimes, it leaves behind a card that changes everything.